Welcome to the Reconnection Club podcast, the show that helps parents heal troubled relationships with their adult sons and daughters. I'm your host, psychotherapist Tina Gilbertson. Each week, I'll offer you compassion, clarity, and personal development tips designed to help you reconnect, not only with your child, but with yourself. Now let's get started. Some estrangements between parents and adult children last a really long time. And from what I can tell, that's usually because neither one of them bothers to reach out to the other to try to mend things. When there is no contact whatsoever after a cutoff, estrangements can solidify. So in those cases, lack of contact is a problem. To get anywhere, someone has to reach out. But I haven't ever worked with a parent who never tried to contact their adult child after realizing they'd been cut off. Quite the contrary. Most of the parents I work with have reached out to their estranged adult children multiple times. If you've tried reaching out to your adult child since she stepped away and your contact hasn't changed things, then lack of contact is not the problem. If it were, then simply contacting your child would have solved it by now. The real problem that needs to be solved is whatever led to the estrangement. Unless you're directly addressing that, then contact in the form of gifts, cards, little hellos is not the solution in your case. Even if you can get your child to respond sometimes, the problem is still not solved. Because your child's lack of contact is not the problem, but a symptom of the problem. This is fairly easy to grasp intellectually, but hard in practice. As long as their children are estranged, many parents will try to stay in contact as much as possible to avoid losing their child forever. That's a huge fear for rejected parents. They're worried that if they don't reconcile as soon as possible, their child will forget about them or get used to the estrangement, and they'll move further and further apart until the child is gone forever. And that's why parents send gifts and texts and can't help but send birthday cards and Christmas cards, because they're terrified of what will happen if they don't regularly contact their child. If this is you, please know that thoughtful contact targeted at the problem or problems that led to your child's estrangement is far more potent than frequent or regular contact that has no such purpose. And a little targeted contact goes a very long way. Contacting your child in itself will not solve the problem of estrangement in most cases, unless you've been accused of neglecting your child or not caring enough about him, in which case regular contact could be meaningful and helpful. But if lack of contact isn't the problem, what if you don't know what the real problem is? What if all you know to do right now is to let your child know you're still there for her, thinking of her, and that you love her? From my conversations with people who've cut off their parents, messages of love from parents during an estrangement too often feel hollow on the receiving end because the real problem is still on the table and it is not being addressed. So if you're not sure what your child's estrangement is all about and you want to repair the relationship, you must figure out what the real problem is and help your child resolve it. All of my work as an estrangement specialist, including this podcast, and every single resource in the library at reconnectionclub.com, is designed to help parents with that goal. Every course, every interview, every document we produce for the club provides informed ideas for parents seeking to understand what went wrong and how to fix it. So if you're a Reconnection Club member, don't just hang around the forums. Do use the forums. Please feel free. I'd love to see you in there. But remember that we are a school, And we have a textbook. It's called Reconnecting with Your Estranged Adult Child. And we have an online library full of useful, practical information to help you solve this estrangement by figuring out what the problems really are. So be a part of our community and use our resources to figure that out, because it's not a lack of contact. That's just a symptom. And it's a very painful one, I know. One of the biggest challenges for many parents wanting to reconcile with an adult child is to let go of contact for the sake of contact. To trust that their child isn't necessarily gone forever, but is simply taking some time away. And that lack of contact in itself won't damage the relationship beyond repair. Parents can use the time granted to them by the estrangement to study and learn and possibly engage in some grieving and other forms of emotional healing, all with the aim of getting a handle on the problematic relationship dynamics that led their child into estrangement. No one can solve a problem they don't understand. If it's not a lack of contact, then what is the real problem between you and your child? Not the problem within your child, not the problem that's living under the same roof with your child, not the problem that happened a long time ago in the past, but what is between you and your child today? Your child is an expert on that. And if you don't have access to him, that's okay. It doesn't mean that your hands are tied and you can't do anything. You've been present for your entire relationship. There are clues in your shared history that are available if you open your heart and mind to notice them. What do you remember about tough times you may have had with your child? What were the themes of any complaints that he might have had, either about you or about the world? When did your child seem happiest? It may be that there are other problems, other people, and indeed external forces contributing to the estrangement. But you can only influence what you have access to, and that is yourself and your interactions with your child. To help get the wheels turning, I'll offer a few common experiences that can and do lead to estrangement by adult children. Keep in mind as I read this list that it is your child's perceptions, not your intentions, that create her experience. And that once she's had an experience, explaining your intentions won't negate or erase how she feels. So here are some common problems between parents and adult children. Lack of acceptance, either of the child or the child's partner. Lack of emotional support. Too much criticism or judgment. Over-involvement in an adult child's decisions. High expectations that the child doesn't feel he can meet. Requests for more time or closeness when the child wants independence. And differences in values combined with a lack of respect for those differences. Those are just a few examples. Contacting your child without understanding the problem or problems in the relationship will at best do nothing to bring him back. At worst, too much meaningless contact will strengthen your child's resolve to create the space that he may have asked for but hasn't yet received. Contacting your child without addressing what led to the estrangement is like eating potato chips. It might feel good in the moment, but there's very little nutritional value, and you could end up regretting it. So don't use contact as a balm against fear. Instead, educate yourself about the real issues that might be present. I'm hopeful that your child will come to appreciate and enjoy the fruits of any efforts you choose to make. Until next time, remember that you are a loving, lovable, and still growing human being. So please take good care of yourself. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Reconnection Club podcast, I invite you to check out ReconnectionClub.com. The Reconnection Club is for parents at any stage of estrangement from their adult, child, or children. So whether you've just realized there's trouble between you, you've been living with estrangement for years, or you're newly reconciled but still walking on eggshells, the Reconnection Club is your essential resource for information, support, and continued personal growth. With our courses and workshops, expert interviews, monthly Q&A calls, and a friendly, active community, the Reconnection Club is a wonderful place to be for anyone suffering the pain of estrangement from an adult, child, or children. So check it out at ReconnectionClub.com.